There was a season in my life where I felt like I was doing pretty okay. Felt like I was on top of my game, living my life to the fullest, but my body was telling a different story. In this episode, I want to talk about how I was able to find peace and healing after a season of very intense stress that led to burnout and my body shutting down. I didn't realize that I was experiencing anxiety. I didn't realize that I was experiencing stress until it was a little bit too late. Didn't usually even wake up thinking I'm anxious. I actually experienced what many would call stress feeling productive and even familiar. And you know what? Many have experienced that, and that's okay. Sometimes we don't even realize that we're stressed or anxious or living from that place because something about it feels even a little bit comforting. I usually like to say the word familiar because that's a little bit more what it is. There was a place in time where stress, chaos, or even anxiety felt like it was something that we understood. And so what can begin to happen over time is we unintentionally create those kind of dynamics around us because that's what we're familiar with. That's what our insides understand. But at the end of the day, we want and need a reset. We want and need a place to rest, to reset, to feel rejuvenated. And we can only handle so much stress or anxiety at one point in time. And so looking back, I realized that my nervous system was just most familiar with stress. And it wasn't that I wanted it. It's just that my body knew how to live there, made me feel really productive, made me feel alive on the inside. I actually remember this quote from a movie one time that someone was running through, I think it was Sydney Bristow from Alias, if you remember that from the early 2000s. And someone asked her how she did all the things that she did. And she said, adrenaline is a very powerful drug. And it got me to thinking that is very true. When we have a lot of adrenaline pumping through our system, we actually feel really good. It's like there are blinders that could put on our eyes. We feel very alert and clear-headed. We feel like all of our systems are running online. We're like a smooth running train. And the thing is, even trains have to come to a stop. And if we keep our systems going at that level for too long, they will have to shut down. And we will run right through that sympathetic response that needs time to come down. That sympathetic response is really only meant to run for a few seconds, few minutes, a little bit longer if needed. Not meant to run ongoing, several hours in a day, several days in a week, several weeks in a month, several months in a year. And many times, many of us have experienced those levels of stress just ongoing. And we stopped noticing it after a while. And what I began to understand years later, after understanding what happened with me, was that there are many different functions that start to happen when we're at high levels of stress. We don't often realize we're even under stress because of the way that it can feel. When I hit the end point of that, I actually had this whole blend of burnout, my body shut down, a lot of anxiety that I suddenly was aware of that was almost unavoidable. After the season, then I was waking up with anxiety. Oh no, I need to get things done. Couldn't get things done. Ended up in more fatigue and body shut down. Had a lot of body symptoms that are almost unexplainable that eventually couldn't be healed through nutritional changes and movement and lifestyle changes, and needed a lot deeper work at the end of the day. And in the moment, it felt like my whole body had just betrayed me. This is a phrase that I hear very often as well, is just feels like my body has betrayed me. What I realized that my body was not betraying me. It was working the way that it was designed to work. It just was given the wrong kind of material to be able to thrive. It was in the wrong kind of environment that it needed to thrive. the body is always communicating something. It's always working really well. It's just, you might want to know what's happening under the surface. I had this reality, this realization. I went through that whole season feeling like I was at the top of my game. My whole body shut down, my life shut down, rebuilt everything. And after the rebuild, started recognizing I tended to recreate that environment. It wasn't the environment that was the problem. It was that I had a familiarity to the feeling that something in me actually enjoyed. But as I got more and more healed, I actually didn't enjoy the stress or the chaos that I would create. I started to recognize that something in me just simply felt normal around it. And that's where I started recognizing, okay, there are pieces from my childhood that I did a lot of healing on, but I hadn't done the healing on the physical experience of feeling like chaos around me. And so this element of entering into peace or entering into just a core sense of calm and rest, almost like Hebrews 4, how God says, I want you to strive to enter into my rest. That became my driving motto. I'm going to enter into rest. I'm going to live from rest and begin to feel that core sense of peace leading me forward. And what began to happen was this inner battle inside of myself that part of me really longed for living from rest and feeling that peace, and all this rest and work that I'd done for many years, wanted to be able to live from it. And then I had this other part, what I would say my childhood part, almost pressing against the adult, more healed part, saying, actually, stress feels more known. So anytime I would experience a little bit of calm and peace and finding a rhythm, something in me would begin to stir up and create some sort of chaos somewhere in my life. Whether it meant adding more projects, adding more work, adding more things around me, or jumping into more programs, volunteering for something, all these different things and ways that we can do that unintentionally. I started recognizing it and seeing it. Awareness, like I always say, awareness is the first step for experiencing healing. If you can recognize that something's going on, you can start to change it. Being aware of it doesn't suddenly mean, oh no, look at that character flaw or look at that issue that I have. No. The moment you're aware of it is the moment that you begin to experience breakthrough. And this place of recognizing I'm recreating it unintentionally, subconsciously, unconsciously, from within my body, from the way that it feels. I started to recognize, okay, what I need to start creating is this sense that I can feel safe in peace. I can feel safe in the sense of calm and peace. And it was really funny. I recognized that I need to do that. I need to feel very alive and calm and recognize that I can actually have more strength and energy and focus in a place of calm. So I started to do some just gentle stillness, breathing practices, just being still and knowing. Psalm 46:10, I'm just going to be still and know. Yeah, the very first moments I did it, I'd sit there, be still, and then I'd suddenly start noticing I'm looking around. One time I did it, I sat on the floor, cleared every distraction, and without my even knowing what happened, I was suddenly up doing the dishes. I didn't even have an awareness of myself doing that moment. A whole part of me just said, we're going to go do the dishes. Suddenly the dishes, it's a great time to do the dishes. And so what I had to do was begin integrating some EFT tapping into that practice. And what that began to do is create a calming sense. As we begin tapping, that's sending that calming signal to that limbic system, to that nervous system place. And I began to do some inner healing work, clearing out those places that were just familiar Even though I didn't like them or like the experiences, but the familiar places of stress and chaos, even the places that I felt really good in the middle of that stress. Part of me, like I said, felt really productive under a lot of stress. Felt like I'm getting a lot done. And eventually that's what led to my shutdown and experiencing, this is too much. You can't keep doing that. And remember, I experienced that shutdown twice. And so we learned a lot the second time around. But what I began understanding was letting Jesus meet me in my nervous system, letting my nervous system begin to feel the core sense that it's actually really safe to just be still, to be calm, doing different practices to help retrain my responses, doing different breathing practices, doing the somatic and EFT and breath presence, and allowing my whole system to just experience clearing that past connection to where I felt that sense of familiarity and creating a new sense that I'm going to create a sense of familiarity from rest and in peace. That is my new normal. And as I began creating a new normal, that peace is my new normal, that anything outside of that actually feels foreign and unusual. I began creating picture in my mind that anything that threw my equilibrium off was unusual and I didn't need to go there. And it began to allow me to rewire my nervous system and my brain to where the work that I did felt like peace, felt enjoyable. Interactions I had, no matter how stressful they were, I could remain at peace in the middle of them. I could bring everything through this sense of a radar almost of, okay, does this bring me peace or is it going to increase my stress load, my anxiety load? I started to actually begin to bring that through this kind of nervous system place inside of me. And what I started learning was doing these practices consistently started to help my nervous system go back to that place consistently. So if we go back to the beginning where I shared that stress and chaos felt familiar, what I wanted to do was create a new familiar response because the nervous system always goes back to what it knows. And so what we want to do, what I learned is that doing calming tools regularly all throughout my day, breathing, some gentle tapping, just becoming aware, orienting to my space, just slowing down, saying, thank you, God, doing little things like that, noticing safe moments, present moments, started creating a new normal for my nervous system to keep returning back to. Isn't that powerful? Did you know that you can create a new normal in your system? What if every single cell in your body has a new normal that I only respond from rest, from peace, and I can respond back to that? Stress will happen. Intense things will happen, but my normal is going to be to return back to peace. And so we have many episodes that talk about why that happened, how to enter into peace, how to engage that place, different meditations that help you follow into that practice, help you create that practice. It's one of the reasons why I created the Wholeness Meditation Experience app, was to create a lot of different experiences and pathways to engage peace in your system, peace in your body, and engaging the heart of God. I also created a program called the Peace Process that you can jump into and learn these processes of helping all of your systems step into a place of wholeness so you can feel that sense of peace deep on the inside. And let me tell you, when I started experiencing that as my new normal, it was life-changing. Silence was no longer scary. Peace on the inside is my new normal. This sense of peace, and let me tell you, peace is not just calm, but it's actually very powerful. something that allows you to move forward in your life from a place of knowing that something deep is established in you. It's an unshakable thing to live from. And I want to release that over you. Any place that I walked in peace, that I experienced that from years of pressing in to experience that, I release peace to expand and God's peace to take territory on every part of you from the inside out. May you experience it deep, deep in the very core of